Good evening, America, and those listening around the world. It's time for the Conservative Syndicate with your host, John Matthews, self-ordained, politically incorrect, mad prophet of the airways. The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most knowledgeable activists and pundits today that together seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement with those seeking the truth regarding the similarities and differences between the religion of politics and the politics of religion.
Well, by getting on Larry King and telling everybody I'm a Christian and I wasn't raised in a Muslim home.
Americans have Muslims in their families or have lived in a Muslim majority country. I know because I am one of them. As a boy, I spent several years in Indonesia and heard the call of the azan at the break of dawn. But I have known Islam on 3 continents before coming to the region where it was first revealed. That experience guides my conviction.
And lest we get on our high horse and think this is unique to some other place, remember that during the Crusades and the Inquisition, people committed terrible deeds in the name of Christ.
At what point does a baby get human rights, in your view?
Well, I think that whether you're looking at it from a theological perspective or a scientific perspective, answering that question with specificity, is above my pay grade. I've got 2 daughters, 9 years old and 6 years old. I'm going to teach them, first of all, about values and morals. But if they make a mistake, I don't want them punished with a baby. As long as we've got to fight to make sure women have access to quality, affordable health care, and as long as we've got to fight to protect a woman's right to make her own choices about her own health, I want you to know that you've also got a president who's going to be right there with you, fighting every step of the way. Thank you, Planned Parenthood. God bless you. Hey, all you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is. We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
And now, your host, John Matthews.
Okay, hey, how we doing out there tonight all across this great land of ours and around the world? It is that time. It's time for the Conservative Syndicate coming to you live right now out here from the old left coast. I am your host, John Matthews, mad prophet of the airways, on a mission from God, and I certainly appreciate you taking the time to listen, tuning in tonight to what we hope will be another great show where we seek to educate, inform, and engage our listeners in regard to what we call the gospel of conservatism. And we do it on this show by espousing the conservative gospel and, of course, exposing the lameness of the leftist agenda. And glad to have you with us tonight. We are we're going to have some simple topics tonight, but not easy topics. We're going to talk about the Hillary campaign, where it's at right now, because right now it's not really even worth talking about the Republican side of the ticket because, they're still trying to find the restrooms out there, I guess you could say at this point. The preliminary testing or litmus tests are being thrown out there by the media. The sexist brand or the ignorant brand or the radical brand or the Hillary hater brand. There's all different stuff going on out there right now. Media is trying to sort through and find that which they can exploit to the fullest. So I'm not really at this point super excited about talking about anybody on the right, but of course we know Hillary is it for the left, so we have a little bit more time to rip this woman apart as rightfully we should.
Whoa, John, let's be careful now.
Yeah, well, I guess the hater homophobe white Anglo-Saxon side of me is surfacing rather early tonight. So,
words have meaning.
Anyway, if you're listening to that other voice, no, it isn't my conscience speaking. That's Joe Hikos from the Dryer Report, my co-host, and. We were just chuckling before we came on the air tonight about an article in Salon magazine. I love this Salon magazine because I like liberal rags that don't hide the fact that they're liberal rags. You got to give credit to somebody who would just come out and say, I hate everything not progressive. and not even apologize for it. You know, I have more respect for people like that than I do people sitting inside the circles in Washington, D.C. and around the country that just will not really tell you what they believe. And we were joking about the idea that we have an Indian law professor out at a liberal university, Yale, which actually used to be one of the most conservative universities around, trying to explain to the Tea Party why we don't understand what the Constitution is. And it's kind of a chuckle, good light way to start the day off. But Joe, you were saying that was irritating you. That, you know, why is that?
Well, you know, I'm just getting tired of having these people that have no idea what our country is supposed to be tell us what it should be. And it's like, really? Thank you for coming by and telling us what you think it is when it's not that. We're not a democracy. We're a representative republic. We're a republic. Remember Ben Franklin? Mm-hmm. And these people will just come out and tell us what they left. You might have came from a democracy, but that's not what we are here. So go ahead and teach us what you think you know, but you know there's so much they really don't know about. Hopefully we can find a couple guests to come on and that know about the Constitution and can explain it to them. We're going to see. I'm in conversation with some folks now, and maybe they can come on and they can find time in their schedule and help enlighten and inform and, you know, engage some of them people out there.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I've been kicking around the idea of getting a gentleman I met a few years ago named Steve Jackson. He tools around Orange County down here in Southern California and actually has a 12-week course on the Constitution, very much like the Heritage Foundation, but the other aspect of what makes him a little bit different is he ties very handily into it the Christian aspect of the establishment of our country, as far as the separation of powers, how that was a biblical design and stuff. And it was really good stuff. I went to a 3-hour mini version of this once a couple of years ago, and I was really impressed with it. And I told him, you know, someday I'm going to have to get you on my show. And I'm talking, you know, you bring it up, and I'm kicking that idea around, saying, yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea to get somebody like that on here that has really spent the majority of their life doing nothing but teaching and examining and exploring all the aspects of the founding documents of our country, and have spent almost their entire life working this stuff out, you know, and just good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we know what we know, but you know, I'm no constitutional law professor, expert at it, so I think we probably have some friends out there that might be able to come on and enlighten even us, and I'm sure I'm always willing to learn. I don't know everything about it, but I think they might bring a point of view across and actually enlighten some people into, hey, you know what? I never thought of it that way. You know, and bring it across in another enlightened moment.
Well, you know, one of the things I did a few months back, I got my hands on a video done by Kirk Cameron. Have you ever seen the video Monumental?
Yeah, I think I've seen some clips of that. I haven't seen the whole thing probably, but yeah, I was, I don't know, in a moment of madness, John, I signed up for some email from that guy, and I would get something every day.
Yeah, I know. That's one of the trade-offs. Well, see, I've had Ray Comfort on the show, and Ray Comfort is one of the guys that he works with on a regular basis. They've done some movies together. Can't remember the most recent one, but anyway, you know, the Left Behind series kind of stuff.
Yes.
And so, you know, I had Ray on the show a couple of times, and he referred me to Kirk, and I have not really ever tried to get Kirk on the show, but I've watched some of his stuff, and this documentary he does called Monumental examines the history of the Mayflower and the Pilgrims and how they came over here and why they came over here and what they chose to do once they got here. Really goes into depth about the founding of our country, not in terms of the founding documents, but the basis, the Christian foundation on which these people came to the United States. They came here to escape Christian persecution from the king over there.
Whoa, are we seeing any of that kind of stuff today?
Yeah, you won't see it, but it's really amazing the idea of how. First of all, it took these guys, these pilgrims, almost 20 years to get out of England. Once they decided they had to leave, I mean, they just didn't hop on a ship and go. They were persecuted. They spent time in prison. They escaped from prison. They got back into prison. They got split up from their families. The first time they got on the ship sunk, and they ended up coming back, and then they had to split from their families again. They decided they had 3 ships, actually, and 2 of them were not sailable, so they all went on the Mayflower. There was over 220 of them. They said, okay, 100 of us are going to go, and the rest of them are going to stay here. And and then out of the 102 that landed, only 42 survived the first winter. I mean, it's just an astounding historical perspective. And the very first thing they wrote in the Mayflower Compact, which was their own form of self-government, was that they came to America to advance the gospel of Jesus Christ. It's almost the opening words of their document. So this is why we came here. And, you get a much more, more
deeper
substance.
understanding of why they came here
Right.
to free themselves from that persecution and that tyranny that was laid upon them for their religious beliefs.
And establish this nation as really the first experiment, as they called it in their logs. You know, the people like Bradford, who was the mayor of Plymouth Rock when they established, and he kept logs, he kept journals and stuff on everything that happened there. And he called it an experiment in self-government, the first government designed by the people themselves and not by some tyrannical force that, above and beyond anything. They said, this is what we did. We sat down and we agreed these would be the laws that we would follow to maintain a civil society. Their treatment of the Indians, it wasn't anything like they paint them today, oppressors and prejudice and racist. They even executed once one of their own people based on the testimony of 2 Indians. They were very helpful with the Indians. It was the Spanish conquistadors and the other people that had come over with them. The people that owned the ship were the ones that were oppressing and practicing racism and raping and pillaging, basically. But these guys kept to themselves. It's just a remarkable lesson in history as to the founding of our country, on which our founding documents were then established. And you can see the parallels and you can see the template that was laid out by the pilgrims that the founding fathers wrote and designed the form of government that we have now. Well, I don't know if it's like they did it now, but the idea behind it, that kind of thing.
Form, anyway, yes.
Yeah, so just very interesting thing, very interesting way of looking at things, and probably the only real way to look at things in light of what's going on today. So, yeah, I'm with you. I'm really sick and tired of everybody trying to redefine what we were established on and redefine what the documents mean to fit what they think it means. This whole idea of deconstruction and redefinition is just,
it's a progressive idea, John. They've been doing it for over 100 years now.
And it's frustrating as all hell, for sure. I mean, there's no denying that. Anyway, we're going to go to our first break. When we come back, we're going to start our topics, Hillary Clinton, and then we're going to talk about the persecution of the church in the United States today. The attempt now to either neutralize the Christian influence of government or to remove Christian influence altogether. And we're going to talk about that. Probably the only real conspiracy I'm really interested in examining these days, because it is a conspiracy, and you'll understand that. In the second hour, Ron Edwards from the Edwards Notebook will join us, and we'll just continue our discussions throughout the day. So stay with us right here on the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back. You can catch all our show archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or